Well, let me move on to section 4.4 on the Kametz Hatuf. The sign, again the Kametz, the little T thing, represents both the regular Kametz, which is a long A vowel, and Kametz Hatuf. They are both identical in form. But the first thing to note is that the A vowel Kametz, the long A, appears much more frequently than Kametz Hatuf. So when in doubt, it's probably going to be the A vowel. But there are some rules, if you want to try to follow them, that can be used to figure out which one it's going to be. And I'm not sure whether memorizing these rules are much good for you right now, so I wouldn't worry about it. But I'll go over them, and you can read over them, and over time when you come back to it, they'll make more sense to you actually than they probably do at these early stages of your study of Hebrew. The first rule is that if the sign, Kametz, occurs in an open syllable or a closed but accented syllable, or in a syllable marked by a metheg, it's going to be the long A Kametz. So here you have mid-bar. The accent is on the bar, and in a accented closed syllable, the vowel is going to be long. So that's long A. Here you have pakadta. Pakadta, the Kametz is under a unaccented open syllable. And a unaccented open syllable requires a long vowel, as in davar. The word davar actually shows both of these things. So if you were to look at the word davar, I've gone to the dictionary in the back of Ross. There you have two Kametzes. They're both long A. The second one is in a accented closed syllable. Accented closed has to be long, so it's long A. And then the first one is unaccented open, and that also has to be long A. So again, is it in an open syllable and unaccented, then it's long. And if it's in a closed syllable that's accented, it's got to be long. And then earlier when we talked about the metheg, we gave you the example of hakama versus hokma. Here the metheg indicates that's the long A, whereas without the metheg it's more likely, although there are exceptions, it's more likely to be pronounced hokma and be the noun wisdom as opposed to hakama. But with the metheg it has to be the long A vowel. Conversely, if the Kametz occurs in a closed unaccented syllable, unaccented, not accented syllable, it has to be a short vowel and therefore be the Kametz Hatuf. And so here you have the form vayakom. And here the first Kametz is open syllable accented. That has to be a long A. Whereas the second one is a unaccented closed syllable, and that has to be a short vowel. Same thing with one of the words for head, code. Here the first syllable, code, is unaccented, accents on the last syllable because no other accents indicated, and therefore as a unaccented closed syllable, the Kametz must be a short vowel. Short vowel would mean O, code. Here's the word to eat. You have akala. There the metheg tells you it's an A vowel. But if you lack the metheg, it could be hokla, which is a word for food. Likewise, the word for she is wise is hakama, and the metheg tells you it's an a vowel. But without the metheg, it could be pronounced hokma, wisdom. Again, we saw it with akala, she ate, versus okla, food. The metheg is what tells you it's a long A. The lack of the metheg is not absolute proof. There are exceptions, but most of the time without the metheg, it's likely to be the O vowel. Now, a shift in accent may cause a long O to become a short O. So the expression every man can be pronounced two different ways. You can do it without the Maqqef, or you can do it with the Maqqef. The word for all is kol. The word for man is ish. All or every man. Kol also means every. Could be kol ish. No Maqqef, 2 syllables. Or I should say 2 accents. Or it could be kolish. Kolish, where you slur them together as if it's one word, using the Maqqef to indicate that. Well, when you do that, it goes from a long O to a short O. And since the accent is on ish, this is a unaccented closed syllable, and therefore must be a Kametz hatuf, or an O vowel Kametz. A little bit about the vocabulary. He's beginning to introduce some verbs now. The verb form yashav means he dwelt or he sat. And again, those are 2 glosses. It has the subject, at least in terms of pronoun, in the verb itself. Now, if you actually put a subject, a man sat, you could say yashav ish, often the opposite word order, what we'd expect. Sat a man, mean a man sat. So if you have a subject, then you just say the subject, the man sat. But if you don't have a subject, the word itself could mean he sat or he dwelled. So that's sit or dwell is the basic meaning of the root, and the particular form is he did it. He sat or he dwelt. Or dwelled. And then natan is another very common word. Mostly means he gave, but it also means he put or he set, depending on the context. It's used of proper names like Nathan, which is he gave, and then Nathaniel is basically God gave. Nouns, you have har, which means mountain or hill country even. One caveat, the word mountain, har, I had a geography major as a roommate in college, and he would say things like, a mountain is an uplift with a 2,000-foot base relief, at least a 2,000-foot base relief. Well, a lot of the mountains in the Bible are less than 2,000 feet base relief, so we might call them hills rather than mountains, but same word is used for mountain and hills. But then the hill country would be the mountainous spine of the country of Israel. So you have Har-Megiddo, or Armageddon in Greek, is the mountain of Megiddo. And then you have the word Hokmah without the metheg. It's the noun wisdom, Hokmah. Notice it's an O vowel, Kametz. Wisdom, also used as skills, has to do with skillfulness in living, is the basic meaning of Hokmah. And then you have the word for day, Yom, and it's used in expressions like Yom Kippur, Day of Atonement. But it could also be day as opposed to night. Am is people, and again, I'm not pronouncing the ayin with any with the original sound. It should be am rather than am. But anyway, means, with the ion, means people, like a people group, as opposed to goy, which would be a nation. Notice Hosea's child was called Lo Ami, which means not my people, which is a rather cruel name to give to a child, no kin of mine. And then he introduces a preposition, el, meaning to or towards. Similar in meaning to preposition la, the inseparable, but this will always be separated, though it can take the Maqqef. And then he introduces a pronoun, who is he? And then he also gives you another pronoun, the interrogative pronoun, me. And there's a little ditty to remember three pronouns. Who is he is she, me is who, and woe is me. Who means he, but another form, me, I go to the dictionary to show that, the form he means she or it. So who means he or it, depending on what the antecedent is. It could be a thing that happens to be masculine in gender. But then if you have the form he, that would mean she or it, depending on whether the antecedent of the pronoun is a person or a thing, a feminine thing. But then me means who, but it introduces questions. Who interrogative, or who are you, or who is he? Me who is he? That would be using that as introducing a question. Well, what are the exercises asking you to do? The exercises are asking you to transliterate certain things into Hebrew script. And here, if you have a unaccented closed syllable like moktal, then that would be a Kametz hatuf. Whereas the long A vowel at the end would be a regular Kametz. So here you actually see the form moktal, where you have a Kametz hatuf under the mem and a regular Kametz under the tal. Again, this is a unaccented closed syllable, so that's an O vowel. And then this is a accented closed syllable, that would be a long A vowel. Short O, short vowel under long syllables, under unaccented closed syllables, whereas a long vowel under an accented closed syllable. Well, anyway, you can go through and do all that, and then you can take the Hebrew here and transliterate that into English script in the more scientific way. Whenever you read Hebrew, it's good to read it aloud. So try to sound it out as you're transliterating it. So here you have Miriam, which happens to be Miriam. And then you have Shmorli, all one syllable with a Maqqef connecting them. And then Hakama, which we use as an example, and so on and so forth. And then he asks you to read aloud and translate a few sentences in section C. Again, it's always good to read Hebrew aloud before you do things. So you have Yeshav bebayit b'shalom. And Yeshav means he or it dwells. He dwells, and then ba is in, and bayit is house. So he dwells in a house, b'shalom, in peace. By the way, if there is no article on a word, then it's you could translate it a. So he dwells in a house in peace. Anyway, you should do that for all the other exercises as well. So that introduces chapter 4 and lesson 4. And hope you enjoy doing the homework. And if you have questions, put it in forums.